Welcome to Generations video. We had a great question on our Facebook page about creating a bean type of stitch that goes forward, backward, forward, but more than 3 times. And unfortunately, there's no stitch type for a line that can create this without doing something manually. Although we can create a new motif that allows the repetition that you would want and gives you that control. And we can do this just with a couple of different tools. So first of all, the question was, hey, can I create a bean stitch type of stitch repeated maybe 6 or 7 times to give me a very thick looking lofty stitch, maybe from 5 to 6 millimeters. And we can absolutely do this. Now, on my screen, I do have it set up in the default with my grid, meaning that my grid is 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters. And if you would like to change your grid, you can go up to View Preferences by going up to View and then scrolling down to View Preferences. Once we are in the View Preferences, I would then go to Canvas Setting, and if I want, I can change the spacing here. Now, when I create this motif, it really doesn't matter the size because I can set the size in the motif, in the motif settings. And what I want to do here is I just want to concentrate on making the amount of passes that I need for that bean type of stitch. So I will just leave it at 10 by 10 and then press OK. I'm going to zoom in very close to the grid. I'm going to utilize this grid for my points of insert stitching. I'm going to right click to deselect the zoom in tool. And if you don't have your grid up, you can just click on the grid icon at the top, or you can go back to your View Preferences, View, and then View Preferences. Go to Canvas Setting and make sure a line grid is set up, or you could also do a dot grid. A dot grid just to show you what it looks like. If I click on that and then press OK, you should see little dots. Now they are white, so they are difficult to see, so that's why I do like my line grid, when I am zoomed in this far. So again, I'll go back to View and then View Preferences, go to Canvas Setting, click on Line, and then OK. So what we're going to do is we are first going to choose the Insert Stitch tool. That is this icon right here. I will left click. What I'm going to do is create my paths. If I'd like to do this 6 times, let's say, I'm going to start on the left hand side and basically do the type of bean stitch that I want for my paths. And actually, before I do this, I'm going to press Escape to get out of the tool. And I'm going to line up my grid with my numbers here. And you can see that if I left click, hold, and drag inside that gray box, I am going to go ahead and line it up with my numbers on my ruler bar. So when I left click, hold, and drag into my screen, and then kind of calibrate my grid to those numbers, I let go of my left click and it will now be on those numbers. And that's going to help me when I move my cursor around on my screen. You can kind of see the dashed lines on my rulers. So let me go back to that Insert Stitch tool and left click. When I left click, my cursor turns into a little crosshair. And now I will start with the amount of passes that I want. So I will start right at the -1 and -2, left click once. When I left click once, I'm going to bring it. That means my first stitch is inside or is set. And I'm going to place my cursor where I want that next stitch. I'm going to go straight across. And actually, if you look down on my status bar, which is down at the bottom underneath my thread bar, you can see my distance is 10 millimeters. I'm going to utilize this as a reference So I want to go 10 millimeters for sure back and forth. Again, it doesn't matter the distance right now because I can set that in the motif. But I just want to make sure that I'm going, to that same needle penetration point for my passes. So I'm going to left click again to make that second point. I'm going to go straight back. So it goes from left to right, and now I'm going to do the second pass. I'm going to look down at my distance. You can see down on my distance 10 millimeters again, and left click. Come back over here. This is my second pass. Make sure I'm at that 10 millimeters. It might be a little difficult to get. Make sure I'm straight across and left click. Now let's do the third pass. Again, I will left click. And if you don't like a click that you made, I can hit backspace and you can go back one at a time. So let's make sure that's at that 10 millimeter mark, straight across. And this can be, a little frustrating sometimes, especially if, the mouse is not cooperating with you. And let's go ahead and I'm so close. Let's go ahead and left click. And we'll go ahead and left click. Now we're going to move on to the fourth pass. Left click and left click. And then you can do this as many times as you want. And we're just simply left clicking. Now once I'm finished, I will hit enter on my keyboard, and that will finish my needle penetration points. So if I want to see what I put in as far as watching it stitch, I can go to the stitch player. I do want to make sure I am escaped out of the tool. Go to the stitch player, left click on that, and I can click on the play button, the single arrow that's black, and left click one by one. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and those are my points. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of that stitch player, and here you can see I have actually 14 stitch points, and I'm going to turn this into a motif. So I'm going to right click, hold, and drag a box, or if you can't get everything, because it is shaped a little bit funny because these are individual points, you can always left click inside the frame. So we're going to go to accessories and save this now as a motif. So go to accessories, motif, and save motif. Here I'm going to save the motif, and I'm going to name this 7 pass, and then OK. Now let's go ahead and apply this to a line. So I'll go to a new design, and we'll go ahead and input a circle. And when we input a circle, I'm going to go ahead and choose a line. Now remember, you want to change your properties in the properties box for your manual tools. You don't want to change the color down here because that confuses the software. So we're just going to change it to line. I'm going to leave it at double run for now because I'm going to show you later how we can change it. So to draw a circle, I just left click, hold, and drag from one corner to the opposite corner. If you'd like an oval, you can hold control. We're just going to do a circle, let go of my left click, it will automatically generate the stitches, and now I hit escape on my keyboard. With it selected, you can see it's got the blue and white flashing line. I will then go to my stitch properties or property settings. I can also, if I don't have it selected, I can right click off to the side. You can see it's not selected. I can left click inside my frame, acts as a right click on screen, and then go to property settings. In property settings, I'm going to go ahead and scroll over to my motif border. Select motif border. Now I have to choose the motif that I just created. So I will go to motif and we'll scroll up, see if we can find that 7 pass. There it is. And here, this is where I change the size. So right now it's at 5 millimeters. If I go to the layout panel, I can change the layout however I want. These boxes will all do something a little bit different. You can see if I left click, hold, and drag on this one, it will change the column space. If I left click, hold, and drag on this one, it will change the direction or the rotation of the individual pieces. And I can also size it. And as I size it, you can see that size right in here. I am in millimeters, so just be aware of that. I'm going to close this, and I'm actually going to change this back to 0, or actually back to 5, and change that back to 0. Let's go back to the layout panel, close that. I actually want to change that to 0. Again, we'll go to layout panel. Oh, you know what? I'm doing the wrong thing. I apologize. So here, the size, if we want it to be 6 millimeters, I'll go ahead and put 6. I did select that chain link. And selecting the chain link, if I change size X, it'll change size Y. Now, it really doesn't matter on this because it is just the line here. And here, I'll put the column space at 6. We'll go ahead to the layout panel. And when I do something like this, I do want to use the simple mode. The simple mode will connect those little passes directly with each other. So I'll go ahead and press OK. When I press OK, I'll generate my stitches. And now I'm going to right click off to the side. We can look at it in the 3D view if you'd like. You probably won't see much change or difference, but let's go ahead and play our stitches. So if you watch, it must do a run first underneath, and now it's doing all those passes. Now, if we would like to eliminate that run stitch underneath, we will have to go in and alter the in and out points. When I do that and I alter the in and out points, we want to make sure that it is going to not have that running stitch underneath. And a lot of times I can check this by going to my stitch player. So with this, what I did is I took that out point and I just dragged it just a little bit to the right so that it wasn't going and it's starting and ending kind of at the head and the tail of it. So let's go ahead and check that stitch player again, and we can click on autoplay, and you can see how it's doing several passes, and you can see how many passes it's doing. It's doing the amount of passes that I told it to do. In addition, since I chose a 6 millimeter size, let's go ahead and turn off the 3D mode, turn on our stitch penetration points. I'm going to press escape to get out of the tool because I was in the zoom in tool. I'll go to my ruler, left click on my ruler, left click, hold, and drag, and you can see that it's 6 millimeters. Press escape to get out of the tool. So this is the way that I would approach that obstacle, is creating the pass and then turning that pass into a motif. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, please email us at techsupport@generationsemb.com. Thanks.